The chapel lamp had burned low. Saint Francis noticed it only because the shadows had begun to stretch, long, thin, deliberate, across the stone floor. The brothers had already gone to rest. Even the wind outside the monastery seemed to have chosen stillness. Francis remained kneeling. He had not spoken a word in some time. His hands were folded, but loosely now. His shoulders ached. His breath had slowed to something deeper than rest. He was not asking for anything. He was not confessing. He was simply there. Waiting. Then something unfamiliar stirred within him. Not peace. Wait. It settled in his chest like a stone placed gently, but firmly, over the heart. Francis opened his eyes. The crucifix before him looked the same as it always had. The wounds were carved with care. The face was sorrowful, restrained. But tonight, something felt different. Closer. And farther away. Lord, Francis said quietly, his voice barely touching the air, if I have failed to understand you, correct me. The lamp flickered. Once. Then again. And then the light steadied. Francis felt it then, the unmistakable nearness that could not be mistaken for imagination. Francis. He lowered his head at once. Yes. You speak often of mercy, the voice said. You teach that it is freely given. Yes, Lord. And you believe this, the voice continued. Francis did not hesitate. With all my heart. There was a pause. A long one. Then the voice asked something Francis had never considered. And do you believe it is always received? The question unsettled him. Is mercy ever refused? Francis asked. No, the voice replied. But it is often postponed. Francis frowned. I do not understand. The air seemed to grow heavier. Then I will show you. The chapel dissolved. Francis found himself standing in a wide, open place beneath a pale sky. There were no walls here. No borders. Just ground stretching outward, dotted with people. They were standing in lines. Not rigid lines, loose ones. Unorganized. Some people stepped forward eagerly. Others lingered. Many spoke quietly among themselves. What is this place? Francis asked. A moment that comes to every soul, the voice said. Francis watched as a man stepped forward, head bowed. I am sorry, the man said quickly. I know I was wrong. Before Francis could see what happened next, the man stepped back again, almost startled, returning to his place in line. Why did he stop? Francis asked. He spoke the words, the voice replied. But he did not remain. Another stepped forward, a woman this time. Tears ran freely down her face. She knelt, trembling. Please, she whispered. Not yet. I'll come back. I promise. She retreated before any answer could come. Francis's chest tightened. Lord, are they afraid of mercy? No, the voice said gently. They are afraid of what comes after it. Francis looked closer. Each person who stepped forward did so briefly, offering regret, sorrow, intention. But none stayed long enough to be changed. They think mercy is a moment, the voice said. But it is a passage. Francis watched as one soul, a young man, stepped forward and did not speak at all. He simply stood there, shaking, uncertain, exposed. Time passed. The young man remained. Light gathered, not suddenly, not dramatically, but patiently. Francis felt tears well in his eyes. He stayed, he whispered. Yes. What happened to him? Francis asked. The voice answered softly. He let mercy finish its work. The others watched. Some shifted uncomfortably. Some scoffed. Some looked away. One by one, the line began to thin, not because mercy was gone, but because waiting felt unbearable. Francis fell to his knees. So many come close, he said. So few remain. Mercy is not withheld from them, the voice said. They keep it waiting. The sky dimmed. The place faded. Francis found himself back in the chapel, breath shallow, heart heavy in a new way. The lamp had nearly burned out. From that night on, Francis changed how he spoke of mercy. He no longer described it as immediate relief. He described it as something that requires staying. Do not rush through repentance, he warned softly. Do not flee the moment you feel exposed. Mercy, he said, does not wound you, but it will undress you. Some turned away. Others lingered. And a few, very few, learned what it meant to stay long enough for mercy to complete what it had begun. But Francis knew. There was still more to be shown. Another night would come. A night where he would learn what happens when mercy is delayed. For the last time. The next night came sooner than Francis expected. He had barely finished evening prayers when the familiar weight returned, gentle, deliberate, unavoidable. It did not press him to the floor this time. It simply waited with him. Francis did not move. He did not speak. Minutes passed. Then more. Only when his breathing slowed into something deeper than intention did the voice return. Francis. Yes, he answered, already humbled. You have seen how mercy is delayed, the voice said. Tonight, you will see when delay becomes loss. Francis felt a quiet fear bloom in his chest. Lord, he said carefully, teach me without hardening my heart. The voice did not promise that. The chapel dissolved. Francis stood in a narrow valley under a dim sky. The ground was worn smooth, as if countless feet had passed through the same place again and again. Along the valley's length stood many small shelters, temporary, fragile, unfinished. Inside each stood a soul. They were not suffering. They were waiting. What is this place? Francis asked. A mercy held open, the voice replied. Longer than most realize. They approached the light with urgency now. With pleading. With explanations. Some fell to their knees. Others raised their voices. But the valley no longer moved. This is not punishment, Francis whispered. No, the voice said. This is consequence. Francis felt tears spill freely. They waited too long, he said. They waited without surrender, the voice answered. They stayed near mercy, without ever entering it. One soul, an older man, stood silently at the edge of his shelter. He did not speak. He did not move. He simply closed his eyes. Francis watched closely. The man's posture changed, not outwardly, but inwardly. His urgency faded. His explanation ceased. He stood exposed. Still. The light responded, not by moving, but by opening. The man stepped forward, and vanished into it. Francis gasped. There is still a way, he said. For those who stop bargaining, the voice replied. The valley faded. Francis collapsed to the chapel floor, breath shaking, heart undone. Morning bells rang faintly in the distance. From that day forward, Francis spoke one final warning, so quietly that many missed it. Do not confuse delay with patience, he told them. And do not mistake mercy's nearness for permission to wait. Enter while you are still willing to be undone. Some listened. Many did not. And Francis knew. Mercy had never been cruel. Only honest. The final night came without a vision. No weight pressed Francis to the floor. No light filled the chapel. No voice spoke his name. At first, he thought this was the silence he had learned to love. But as the hours passed, he understood. This silence was different. It did not carry presence. It carried responsibility. Francis knelt alone, the stone cold beneath him, the chapel unchanged. The crucifix did not shimmer. The lamp did not flicker. Heaven did not open. For the first time since the nights had begun, God did not show him anything. And Francis felt a quiet fear, not of judgment, but of misunderstanding. Lord, he said at last, his voice low and careful, I have seen what happens when mercy is delayed. I have seen the moment when waiting becomes loss. But how do I tell them this, without driving them away? The words fell into the stillness. Nothing answered. Francis bowed his head. He waited. Time stretched, not dramatically, not painfully, but honestly. His thoughts rose and fell. His desire to explain faded. His need to be heard loosened its grip. Only then did the voice return. Not from above. From within the silence itself. Francis, it said, do not frighten them into mercy. Francis exhaled. Then how do I reach them, he asked. By showing them what it feels like to stay, the voice replied. Francis frowned. They want certainty. Assurance. Timelines. And you want them to be safe, the voice said gently. But safety is not what opens the heart. Francis remained silent. Tell them the truth, the voice continued. But do not rush to close it. Francis lifted his head. Truth spoken too quickly, the voice said. Becomes a door slammed instead of one held open. Francis understood then. The nights had not been given to make him a warning. They had been given to make him a witness. How do I begin? He asked. The voice answered with simplicity. Teach them to remain. The chapel did not dissolve this time. The vision did not take him elsewhere. Instead, Francis was left exactly where he was, with the truth resting quietly in his chest. From that day forward, he changed once more. He no longer spoke first. When people came to confess, he listened longer than expected. When they finished speaking, he did not respond immediately. He let the silence do its work. Some grew uncomfortable and filled the space with explanations. Others apologized for the quiet. But a few, only a few, felt something happen inside them when no one rushed to resolve their words. They stayed. And in that staying, tears came that explanations never could. Francis learned that mercy does not always arrive as relief. Sometimes it arrives as the courage to remain exposed, without escape. When he preached, he no longer spoke of deadlines or warnings. He said only this. Do not ask how long mercy waits. Ask instead whether you are willing to stop long enough to receive it. On the morning of his death, the brothers gathered close. Francis was weak now. His breath came slowly. His eyes remained closed. One of the brothers leaned near and whispered, Father, is mercy still near? Francis did not answer right away. For a moment, it seemed he would not answer at all. Then, quietly, he smiled. And with the last of his strength, he said. It always was. His breath left him. The room grew still. No one spoke. And those who stayed. Not out of fear. Not out of duty. But because something told them not to rush. Felt it. Mercy was not withheld. It had simply been waiting for them to remain.